Why are we together?
Yeah.
What if we accomplished would make us feel fulfilled as a family? What is our family going to be known for?
Right.
What is our marriage going to be known for?
It doesn't matter if you've been married for 5, 10, 15 years. There is never a better time to stop and actually have this conversation, asking yourself these questions like right now. Are you lacking in the self-care department? Or maybe you just want to step up your game. Well, then you need to get a hold of the weekly self-care planning guide, because this will help you to plan out and prioritize self-care, because self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You can get yours by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. That's holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Oh, and did I mention the self-care planning guide is absolutely free? That's $0. So be sure to get yours at holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Hello and welcome back to Holistic Mama Speaks, the podcast, season 2. I am your host, Carrie Marie Vaughn, and I'm just so excited to continue our journey together towards holistic living, wellness, and abundance. Wow. In season 2, we are just going to be diving deeper into a variety of different topics related to natural health, mindful living, wealth and abundance, and even conscious parenting. I'm just so excited. And I will be featuring expert guests who will share their knowledge and experience with us. So many amazing people, some returning guests from season 1 and some new guests. I will also be answering listener questions and addressing some common concerns related to holistic living. And you can actually submit your questions by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/ask. ASK. My goal is to provide you with practical tips and inspiration that you can incorporate into your own life. Whether you are a seasoned holistic living enthusiast like some people, or if you are just starting out on this journey, there is just something for everyone along the way. So I'm just happy to have you here in the season 2 of Holistic Mama Speaks. And just as a side note, by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this as medical advice or to treat a medical condition. You can visit holisticmamaspeaks.com to find the full disclaimer. So sit back, relax, and let's explore a world of holistic living and abundance together. Are you a mom who's struggling to balance taking care of loved ones while also taking care of yourself? It's a very common challenge, but there is actually a simple solution: daily affirmations. In Mom Mantras, the daily affirmation guide for mothers of all kinds, you'll find powerful affirmations and mantras that will help you improve your health, happiness, and mindset. Whether you are a biological mom, an adoptive mom, a stepmom, a pet mom, a motherly figure, this book is for you. Read these mantras in the morning, before bed, really anytime throughout the day to uplift your spirits and to stay focused on what matters most. Visit mommantras.com to get your own copy and to start living a more intentional, purposeful life. Hello, and welcome back to Holistic Mama Speaks. I am your host, Carrie Marie, and I'm so blessed to be joined today by Christian and Chantal Santiago. And we are going to be talking today about family, faith, and fulfilled calling, the journey of leading and loving. I'm so excited for this topic, and I'm so excited to have Christian and Chantal here. They have a mission together to activate Christians in rulership identity in Christ, which causes them to teach people how to take authority in every single aspect of their lives. And I know this from my personal experience working with them. They are so incredible. And, this includes both mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. So really all aspects of the life. And they do this by sharing kingdom principles in a very practical way, step-by-step things, I can tell you, that anyone can apply and have real results. So I'm so excited to have the two of you here. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're so sweet. We're grateful to be here, honored to be here.
Yes, very, very, very. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited to be talking about this with you because I know that the two of you're just on such an incredible mission, and the two of you have such a beautiful relationship. So I'd love for you to tell a little bit about that, about how you met and all of that. And then we can dive into talking a little more about the topic at hand, because I think that it's fun coming from you guys. I was going to share what you shared with me. I'm like, no, I want you to share the story.
Right.
We have a crazy story.
We really do. We really do. So Chantal's from Australia. I'm from Florida. And we met in the Dominican Republic on a mission trip where I was going there with my university. At the time, I went to Southeastern University, my alma mater.
Yeah.
And my wife went there with her church, Planet Shakers.
Yep.
And we were there and at the same place at the same time partnering with a missions organization called Missions.me, where they were bringing people from around the globe. So I think at the time, they had like 1,000 people there?
Yeah, I think between 1,000, 1,500, somewhere around
but
there.
from around the world. So you had people from London, you had people from Australia, you had people from America, you had people from South Africa, all coming to one place for one mission to impact the country in different regions. So the region where we were at, we were in the same place. And it's funny because it was a week-long trip, and I'm already thinking of funny stuff. And we were there from Sunday to Sunday, and it was funny because they had a training day on the Sunday, or was it the Saturday before we left? I think it was the Saturday. But we were in the theater. We were in a theater in Miami, and they had everybody together. And there's a funny portion where they were talking about rules, and our good friend Gabe Balhorn, he was talking about rules, and he makes it like fun, but he's like, okay, pink stays with pink, blue stays with blue. Okay, like guys stay with guys, girls stay with girls. And he's like, I just want to break it to you guys. If you are from Florida and you meet someone from Australia, it's not gonna work. He literally says word for word, like it's gonna work. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, we'll do something stupid like that. I'm like, yeah. And come to find out, fast forward on the Wednesday, halfway through the trip, we meet.
Yeah.
And then that becomes us. And so I think 3 days?
Yeah. It wasn't even when we met. It wasn't even like, oh my goodness, like sparks were not like flying. In the sense that, oh, you're cute. Like it wasn't like that at all. Like if you can imagine and picture this, like you've already had 2 solid days of ministry where you've been out in the streets.
We met at dinner, so it was like 3.5.
3 days.
3 days basically, because we met on dinner at Wednesday.
Right. So you can picture this, right? You've had 3 solid days of ministry, praying for people, seeing miracles happen. And so the conversation was not a normal conversation that you would have for your first Q meet. It was like, what have you been seeing God doing? And so I think really that set foundations for us, because from the get-go, we're talking about like, what have you seen God doing? And like, what have you experienced God using you for?
Right.
But yeah, in 3 days, crazy confirmations. We knew where it was going. I went back to Australia knowing
but even before the confirmation, so we had confirmation. God spoke to me. She had a dream about it. Yeah. About us meeting. But one of the conversations I had with Chantal before we left was about mission. Yeah. I said, I want, if this is going to happen and this is going to work, we're actually going to build our relationship on mission, not on happiness. Yeah. Because I believe that happiness should be a byproduct of mission. Because mission will sustain you in seasons where happiness won't. Yeah. And our first 2 years of marriage, it was not easy because we were doing immigration, her in America, that whole process, we were going through it. It took a good 9-10 months for that to go through. When in our first year of marriage, she couldn't work for 9 months. They say be in a dink phase, dual income, no kids. We're in a sink phase, single income, no kids. We were in our first year. But it was funny because what helped us ride through that was mission. Yeah. And one of my conversations, even after God spoke to me, was I told her, I said, look, this is my calling and this is my mission. This is what I'm going after. Right. And I hear yours. We can go after it together, or we can just stay friends. I don't care. Yeah. I literally told her I don't care.
Which I think a lot of people, like for females.
I generally didn't care though. It was kind of funny.
A lot of people would be kind of like, whoa, like kind of put off by that. But for me, I wasn't put off by that. I was just like, here's a guy who knows what he's called to do and he's going after it. And I can come alongside that and I can partner with it and still do what I'm called to do. Or there's no pressure, right? Because then we can just stay friends and I've made an amazing friend.
Right. And we are 9-year difference. So Chantal was already at an age, like when we met, she was 30 and I was 21. And so like
I didn't know it's okay.
It's okay. I thought you were like 25, you know, it's okay. But it was awesome because once we left the trip, we actually didn't even say anything to anybody. We said, you know, let's keep this in our heart and let's just continue to pray about it.
Right.
Because one, I'm very practical. I said, okay, if this is actually going to work, then it's going to be marked by one word, and that's sacrifice, because you're going to be 16-hour difference.
Right.
Because just because God gives you something does not mean it does not require stewardship on your end. God gave Adam the garden and you still have to tend and keep it. Just because God gives you something does not mean it's just going to dramatically and just perfectly take care of itself. No, God gives it to you so you can take care of it. So we were very practical, even though we had spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
And so when she got home, you can tell that story.
Yeah, I mean, we had kept it very low key, didn't really speak
just between us.
Anyone, really. I mean, people thought they knew what was going on, but really had no idea. And I remember getting home and my mum was like, how was the trip? And I gave her one word, good, which normally means leave me alone, let me process. I'll get back to you when I've had time to, you know, think through everything and process all my emotions. She's like, okay, great. Well, I'm going to work. She went to the door, she stopped, she turned around and she goes, when are you moving to America? And I'm like, not moving to America. She's like, okay, well, when are we going to meet this Spanish speaking husband from America that just swept you off your feet? And I was like, she's like, bye, gotta go to work. And I was like, so anyway, fast forward, she came home later that day and was just like, I was unpacking, yeah. And she was just like, so are you going to tell me that? You know, true mum style. And I was like, no. This is not how this works. You've got some explaining to do. And so she just unpacked with me that while I'd been away, she'd been praying for me and that she really felt like Holy Spirit had showed her that I had met the man that I was going to marry, that he was Spanish speaking from America, and that he had just completely swept me off my feet. And then she was able to tell my dad that his baby girl had met someone.
Right.
They were able to pray together and we cried.
So that gave me such confidence because I'm the man God told you about. You know, I can show with confidence. But from that moment, we went from hello to I do in 9 months.
Yep.
And we've been married for 7 years, which has been incredible. We have our baby boy, and then we have a baby girl on the way, which at the time of this recording, she's due in 8 days.
Any day.
Any days.
She'll have been born by the time this comes out, which is so exciting. Congratulations. Oh my God.
So that's a little bit about our story. And then we also did like full-time ministry together. We really jumped into that. And then after that, that's when I went into business. You did your own business. I did mine. And then now we're kind of come back together. So
yeah, it's been a beautiful journey because it's really been like a full circle.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And actually, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about what you're doing right now, what you're doing together. And I was blessed to be able to have the privilege of attending your Unlock Your Ruler Within event, your very first one. And you have another one already scheduled coming up. So
yes,
I'm really excited about that in September.
This is a long time coming.
Yeah, a long time coming. We had a dream to do this. It was 3 days full immersion. So Carrie Marie would know immersion, but immersion is the way to go because I just know when you are immersed in an environment, there's nothing else around you except for that one thing.
Right.
Which means you are going to catch way more than you did if you just did spaced out learning.
Right. Like over 6 months or 3 months.
Yes, or over a year. And so this was a dream that we had done, that we created about two years ago. Yeah. And so originally we were going to have something called Born to Rule Global Ministries. So that was actually the original umbrella of everything, but it was a nonprofit 501c3. Yeah. And we were really just living off donations. And for me, I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me because I stepped out of full-time ministry. I was a full-time pastor. And I went full-time ministry because I felt like I was supposed to write a book, Born to Rule. I actually have it right here. Yep. So once I wrote it,
bookshelf behind me.
Yeah, come on. And so I wrote it, and I felt led that I needed to leave my job because it was supposed to be much bigger than just a book.
Yeah.
And it could begin as a book. And so things moved forward for about 3-4 months when I stepped away, like it was December 2020. I stepped away. For the first 3 months, I mean, we were booked out. We were in Brazil for about 6 weeks, speaking at places there. We were traveling to different churches and organizations. And then it came to a point where things stopped and it dried up. And so one of the things I know is that even if it's not a now, like God will still bring something around.
100%.
Like,
100%.
And he'll bring it around in the proper skin that it needs to be in.
Yes.
Even if it has the same spirit. So Greatness Institute is a different skin than Born to Rule Global Ministries. It's a business, which is what I do. Like now I'm peak performance coach for executives, investors, and surgeons. But here's the thing. We always had a heart to do something together because we came together for a mission.
Right.
We didn't come together because we thought we were cute, even though that's a byproduct. But
added bonus.
But, yeah. It's a plus. It's a big plus. And I love what I look at. Anyway, so, but we came together for a mission. Like she was blessed in areas I am not good at. And I am blessed in areas she's not good at.
Yep.
And if we look at what we call the law of first mention, one of the first laws of biblical hermeneutics, which is if you want to know God's original intent about something, go to the first time he mentions it.
Yeah.
So if you want to know the original intent about wealth, go to the first time God mentions money or gold or wealth in the Bible. That's in Genesis chapter 2. If you want to know God's original intention about mankind, go to Genesis chapter 1. If you want to know God's original intention about marriage, go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18.
Yeah.
And it's God saying, I will make Adam a helper.
Right.
What's super interesting is God never said, I'm going to make Adam a wife.
Right.
And he never said Adam was lonely. God said, I will make it a helper suitable for him, which is for his mission.
Right.
Because God saw that it was too much for him to govern the earth by himself. And so he needed some help. He needed someone who was blessed in areas he was not.
Yep.
Adam was the one who called Eve wife. So God originally didn't even make Adam a wife. He made him a helper. And so the first focus for marriage should actually be mission.
Yeah.
And let happiness and connection be your byproduct. Because after God gives a mission and God brings a helper, then Adam says, you are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. That was his like, whoa, you are a woman. Yes. You know, he's like, wow, you and me, we're like what? But that was after God made her for mission.
Right.
So in God's mind, relationships are meant for purpose first. And then the outflowing of that is feelings. That's why oftentimes marriages break apart because they don't have a purpose beyond either their kids or their feelings or their image that they have to keep up.
Yep.
And so when they just finally stop caring about that, then all of a sudden they are moving forward. But then you see those families that are like superstar families. You're like, wow, the kids are great. The marriages are in love. It's because they have a reason for being together. They got a purpose. They've got like something beyond them.
Ooh, I love
so
that.
For
what
us,
are some of your tips then for like partners with a purpose? You know, I feel like that goes, you know.
So for us,
be a partner with a purpose.
So for us, we always knew like we were going to partner together to help people walk in authority. That's just like Chantal has more of the emotional side. She does like inner healings as well, which God has like masterfully helped, like used her in.
It's the whole thing of like whatever God is going to use you for, he's going to take you through yourself, right? And so the amount of emotional healing that I have personally had to go through enables me to now be able to operate in such authority and be able to see other people be emotionally healed now. And for him, he is so like switched on as far as the mind goes And like, I don't know too many people that are as switched on and as just in tune and intelligent and then retain information like this guy. He has read more books than anyone I ever know, but he actually retains it. Like, that's he can recall and then he can teach like it's his own, you know.
Very impressive. I have to read the same book like 10 times before I'm like, got it.
Maybe we'll do another podcast about brain memory.
Right.
Mamas, this is going to help you remember your grocery list. Okay. This is going to help you remember all the tasks you got to do. Okay. This is going to help you.
Birthdays.
Right. Birthdays. Okay. And your husband asks you
the names, you know, you don't have to go through all of them to finally get the right kid's name.
Right. So we could do that another time. But great question about the purpose though. Like when it comes to relationships. So even whether you're single or married, it doesn't matter. You can still do this simple exercise. For us, we ask ourselves like very simple, but like deep questions that you have to ask yourself consistently.
Right.
And for us, it's like, why are we together?
Yeah.
What if we accomplished would make us feel fulfilled as a family? What is our family going to be known for?
Right.
What is our marriage going to be known for?
And these were things that were not like, it doesn't matter if you've been married, like if you're married now and you're listening to this, right? It doesn't matter if you've been married for 5, 10, 15 years. There is never a better time to stop and actually have this conversation, asking yourself these questions like right now. It doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship, like there's never a better time than right now to be asking yourselves these questions, you know? And that was a big one for us. Like, what do we want to be known for? What do we want our family to be known for? Because it's greater than just us. Like, it starts with us.
Yes.
Right. But it's greater than just the two of us.
And I remember one of the times too, like we already had kind of a mission statement or a mission or a purpose of what we were going for.
Right.
We knew, but one of the things that helped us crystallize it too was actually meeting at a Starbucks in Orange County. Yeah, we took a date and we took like 2-3 hours. And it was before we were pregnant with Zion, but it was our 4th year of marriage.
Yeah.
And we came up with 10 family mantras. What is our family known for?
Yeah.
And we have our Santiago family mantras, which I take Zion every morning.
So
and
cute.
We yell it. Santiagos are catalysts for eternal transformation. Santiagos are leaders of leaders. Santiagos live boldly and intentionally. I can quote all 10, but we came up with 10. And so for us, we know who we are. We know what we're about.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Okay, so mission is one thing. Here's the next thing though, assignment. Mission is unchanging. It's the same thing.
Right.
Assignment is what season is this mission going to be expressed, or how is this going to be expressed?
Right.
And one of the best ways that marriages can do this or relationships can do this, whether you're single or married or whatever, is talking about your blueprint.
Oh yeah. Go there.
Talking about your blueprint. So you get your mission from what do you want to be about? Why are you here? What do you want to leave behind, far after you're gone? What do you want to be remembered for? What do you together? What do you want to accomplish? What's one thing that if you guys accomplish this would mean the world to you and feel like this is what our family's about? And you can also do mantras. That's mission. That's unchanging.
Right.
Assignment is connected with your blueprint. Yeah. And here's what I mean. Your blueprint is your internal vision of expectations of how life should be. And most pain that comes in relationships is because of unmet expectations. And most of the time, those expectations are not verbalized, they're internalized. Or they're not recognized. They don't know what their expectations are, but they know something's wrong. They're like, there's tension. I just don't know what it is because you've never actually defined your blueprint. And this happened when this was 5 months after I started my peak performance coaching business, where we went from food stamps to I was working with a 9-figure company, $360 million company in 4 months, and that changed our life. So but 5 months in business, we had more money in the bank than we ever had. I felt more alive than ever. I was working with the kind of people I wanted to work with. Like, we never even had any problems with like, can we do this? Can we do that? We've got to like, should we, plan it out for 6 months to actually do that one thing? We didn't have to. And I was super grateful for it because God really changed everything and breathed it, but yet it didn't feel like enough.
Yeah. It was like we had the resources which we had wanted for so long.
And we were praying for so long.
Right. And it was such an answer to prayer. Yet we were clashing more than we had ever clashed in our entire marriage. And it's like, hold on a second.
We need to pay attention.
Right. Like, what is going on here? You know, we've got more money than we've ever had, yet we are just more unhappy than we ever had. Like, what is this? What is this friction? And so pay attention to that. And so that's what we did.
And so I said, let's talk about our blueprint. Chantal said, what? I said, joy is when your blueprint matches your life conditions.
Yeah.
So like, if I talk about my son Zion, they're like, what did you expect your time to be a father to be in your first 2 years?
Yeah.
And then what is it now?
Right.
And I'm like, it's way better than I thought it was.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? I'm over the moon. I'm like a 12 out of 10 for joy because my life conditions are better than my blueprint, than my original expectations.
Right.
But then if there's an area of our life we don't like, it's because your blueprint does not match your life conditions.
100%.
It means you had an expectation of something and it's not matching it.
Yeah.
This is where suffering though comes in. So pain is when your blueprint doesn't match your life conditions, but suffering comes when your blueprint doesn't match your life conditions and you feel like you have no power to change it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you have no power to change it. If you have power to change it, you're just unhappy or frustrated. And you have two choices. You can either change your blueprint or change your life. Right. Very simple.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so what we did was, I was like, our life is good. We don't need to change it.
Right.
But let's look at our blueprint.
Yeah.
So for us, we looked at it and we realized we were only operating under a ministry blueprint.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything was an expectation of our impact in the church, in the four walls church.
Right. Because we'd done that for our entire marriage. It's how we met.
And when we met on the mission trip, we had this expectation. We still had an overarching mission. But we had this expectation we would only be in the church.
Right.
And we would only be speaking on stages. Right. And we'd only be speaking on this and that and doing it a certain way.
Right.
And all of a sudden we were like, whoa, what in the world is going on? We realized once we wrote down all the things of our blueprint.
Yeah.
It was eye-opening.
Yeah. Very.
It was like, wow, this is what I said. Let me ask you, is this blueprint serving us anymore?
Right. And it wasn't. It wasn't. And so we then had to make some changes, right? Mm-hmm. Because the life that we were living was great, but it was the blueprint. And so being able to make those changes, it really improved things for us.
Right.
Individually, but together as well.
Right. And we shifted from a ministry blueprint to a prosperity blueprint. Right. Because we were living it, but we weren't enjoying it.
Right.
And so we know that we're called to help people operate in their highest mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally, but also financially. And we actually don't mind that. We're like, we're going to go after that. We love to build kingdom millionaires. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of our thing, you know, and God was able to take us from struggling to pay rent to food stamps. So where we're at now, my goodness, like, and, but we shifted our blueprint to match what we want. Most couples have not updated their blueprint since they've been dating.
Right. Or created anything to begin with, right?
So yes,
what you suggest then of somebody who is like, whether it's a single parent, you know, or whether it's a whole family, and they're like, I have never thought about this blueprint before. What is this blueprint? Why should I do this? And how do I even begin? How do I even start? You know, like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, but even asking yourself that question, what do I want right now in my life? What do I want right now in my life? Like, if you can ask yourself that question, oh, that is a huge start, because quite often we are so busy being busy, doing all of the things that we don't actually stop ourselves and ask ourselves, do I even want to do this? Like, it's kind of just something that I'm doing, that I found myself doing.
And remember the original blueprint of Fields? Talk about that.
I'll tell you something. I had this picture in my head, and it was just like, Christian asked me, he was like, babe, what do you want? And I was like, I want the fields. And he's like, you want the fields? I was like, the fields of people. Like, I see all of the people getting impacted and just meeting God.
We're not going to have stadiums.
fields. It's going to be bigger than stadiums. And that's how God's going to use me. And he's like, do you want fields right now? And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no, I don't know. No, like.
Because Zion was just, we're 5 months out. So Zion was like 4 months old at the time.
From like C-section and just all that stuff, you know. But he was like, do you want fields right now? And I was like, no. And he's like, okay, so what do you want right now? And that was a big question for me to dig deep. What do you want right now?
And that's a great question to build your blueprint on now.
Yeah.
Like, what do you really want at this stage of your life? Because at the end of the day, your now builds your next. Some people are just, you know, like Chantal, one of the things in our blueprint was like, for her, she was like, fields. I was like, that is not serving us. Because right now we're not in fields, which is why we're frustrated. Okay. But yeah, we got more money in our bank. We got more, we have more freedom than we've ever had. We feel more in alignment and impacting people that we want, that we ever had. But these expectations that we have of where we should be or where we need to be or whatever, guess what? That's not serving us. There's some people who are, you know, some women who've never had kids and they're 53 years old and they're past the physical age and they're having menopause, so they can't have kids anymore. But their blueprint is they're going to have a kid physically. So now you have to make a decision. Okay, I can change my blueprint and change my life.
Right.
Change your life. You can, I don't know if they've got the medicine is now starting to get more, you know, more advanced. So there could be a solution out there. So you can go actually change it. Or you can shift your blueprint to say, instead of saying physically, maybe I'll adopt someone.
Right.
Maybe I can, you know, foster care.
Yeah.
But so that blueprint is still being met, but it needs to be shifted because the life conditions are not going to match it. Right. Does that make sense? Does that give it clear?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you look at where I personally was at that point.
Right.
I was working full time, basically. I had my own health and wellness business. I was a new mom, trying to be the best wife that I could be as well. And then look after the home as well. Where was I speaking to people in fields and
right?
Love it. I'm just like,
you know. So here's what we're not saying. We're not saying don't dream big. No. What I am saying is look at where you're at now.
Right.
What do you really want right now? Because oftentimes it's that tension of what do I want now and what do I want later. And so we needed, our mission stays the same, right? But our blueprint changes over time. So we reassess every 6 months. It's great to look at your blueprint every 6 months.
Right.
And to reassess, do these still make sense?
Do they still serve me?
Do they still serve us for where we're going? These things have happened. Does this still make sense for where we're going?
Right.
And you do that every 6 months. It's amazing.
And joy, like you mentioned joy before, that's such a huge thing. And it's such a huge quality of life to have, right? Yeah. I want to be around people that are joyful. I don't know about you, but I mean, I want to be around people that are joyful.
Absolutely.
And don't be miserable around me. Is that if you're constantly in this place of where things are not serving you, you're anything but joyful.
Right.
People don't want to be around that.
Right.
And I don't want to be around myself sometimes if I'm not joyful, you know? Right. So it really does say a lot about the quality of life that you're living. And just even asking yourself, does this still serve me?
Right. And a great question to ask yourself too for blueprint, what do I want at this stage of my life? But also, where did I expect myself to be at this stage?
Right.
You can start to write it down. Where did I expect myself to be here?
Yeah.
Like for us in marriage, where do we expect ourselves to be? And we realize, oh my gosh, this blueprint doesn't even serve us. We're in a better place objectively than we've ever had. This is not serving us. This is what we expect our life to be.
Like it's almost holding us back.
It's holding us back. Yeah. And then as soon as
these things that like society almost makes you think that you need to want out of your life. You know what I mean? Think about like, do you remember little girls would be sitting there like planning out their wedding and their kids' names and all of this stuff from the time that they're little girls. And so they just have this picture in their brain that their life is going to be so magnificent. And then real life happens, and they're like just running like they're on a hamster wheel. And they kind of forget to stop for a second and be like, is this what I want in my life? Is this what I have? Do I even really want that stuff that I thought I wanted,
Yeah.
Right. And life changes.
Yeah.
Because then if you don't change that picture when you're a little girl,
right,
you don't change that because you changed. You're not the same little girl that you were before. Then you'll be stuck in there and you're like, why am I not joyful? Why don't I feel like I'm aligned? Why don't I feel like I'm guided? Why can I enjoy even starting small? Like, yes, like new beginnings. I love new beginnings. We started small. We had 14 people. I told everybody, I said, we're going to have 500 people at an event soon. Why? Because this is my blueprint. This is what I love. I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep going, right, baby?
Yeah, we are. Okay, but cool. I think something comes up really important there. You mentioned something, planning from a little girl. I remember having a conversation with my mom, even when we had met. And it's all about your expectations. And we've kind of been talking around that for a little bit now. Right. But it's just like sometimes those expectations not being verbalized. I remember there was one time I had to speak to my mom about it, and I had so much to be thankful for with you. Mm-hmm. But like at the end of the day, something happened. I think it may have been surrounding our wedding, actually, because you do have that picture as a little girl of what is my wedding going to look like. Even my wedding dress was completely different to what I had pictured in my mind. Thank goodness, because otherwise I would have looked like one of those dolls that you stick over a toilet roll holder in the bathroom. That's what I would have looked like if I'd gone for the dream dress that I'd been dreaming from since I was a little girl. But I remember my mom saying to me, like, you're expecting Christian to be a certain way. And the reality is he's not there yet. He hasn't done life yet. And so you can't expect someone to be here when they're still here.
Yeah, she said you can't expect Christian to have the maturity of your dad when your dad and I have been together for. Yeah, it was like, and so that was that blueprint. Right. So blueprint is super important in any stage or season of life you're in. Mission is unchanging. Assignment changes.
Yes.
I love that. That's so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I think that is really going to give people that starting point where they're like, ooh, they can't wait now to make a mission statement for their family. Right. Tell it to their kids every morning. Yes.
Yes.
Also just stop.
Bringing life to the relationship too.
Yes. And like you were saying, I mean, everybody just gets caught up with life and we don't ever think to stop and be like, wait a second. Is this what we're actually wanting to be doing in our life right now? Do we really enjoy this? And so I love that you brought up that, so that now everybody that's listening to this, they can literally stop right now, think about this, set up their blueprint. Yes, this moment, just like pause this for a second, set up their blueprint for their life as what they actually want right now. How amazing is that? Thank you so much for sharing. And I would also, before we close out the day, I would love for you to share a little bit more about the upcoming event in September, if you don't mind, because I think that so many people would be able to benefit from being a part of that. I know for sure it's an absolutely transformational event. And like you're saying, it's full immersion, 3 full days. Awesome.
Yes. So mark your calendar, September 28th to 30th. You are being there. Okay. You're not missing it. All right. So if you're listening to this, we have a 3-day immersion event called Unlock Your Ruler Within. Okay. What's the purpose of that? Why is that name? What in the world? Unlock Your Ruler Within. What are you saying, Christian? Well, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that everything you're facing, everything that seems big to you, everything that seems impossible for you to achieve or to reach for, it's only because of one problem. You don't know who you really are. You don't know how powerful God really made you.
Right.
Because if you did, those problems would not seem as big.
Yep.
Like my son, who's 23 months, when he gets hungry and tired, he wails. Me, at my age, when I get hungry and tired, I don't wail like my son. I have the same problems But because I am much stronger and I'm a different, more mature person, the same problem seems smaller, while for my son, it seems like gigantic. Mm-hmm. And so for you, I want to see you get introduced to the full you so you can live a legendary kingdom life.
Yes.
We don't want you to live a mediocre kingdom life, but a legendary kingdom life. So join us September 28th to the 30th, 3 days, full immersion, unlock your ruler within.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you being on and sharing so many amazing things with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. It has been a pleasure being with you today. I hope that you enjoyed this and got some value out of it. If you did, be sure to rate and review on wherever you're listening or watching. And also be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.